Goal of the 9-yard line. Hamilton keeps it. Touchdown.
And we've got to thank God every minute of every day. It's your boy, One Live Stu. That's right, Ryan Stewart. Joined by none other than my man, Joe Ham, real name Joseph Hamilton, from the great state of South Carolina, where he resides, from the area of Alvin, South Carolina. Went to Macedonia High School. He's a Fox. But I think that school's now no longer, and you guys have changed your name. What are you, Timberland now, Joe?
Timberland Wolves. Timberland Wolves it is.
So you're the Timberland Wolves, and it's not just Macedonia, but the Timberland Wolves are comprised of how many different schools?
3 different schools. It would be the St. Stephen Rams and also the King Hoy Tigers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some of them went to some of those things by your way, those different schools that's expanding, look, Cane Bay and all those different schools. So they broke a lot of schools up, man. I like it that way as opposed to when you can get rid of the rivalries.
Right.
I never thought that I would be rooting for St. Stephen athletes right around the corner or athletes that came from Cane Hoy because they were our rivals. But now we're sitting in the stands together rooting for our kids and our grandkids.
Yeah, the grandkids. Hey, man, it is your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. This is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I am blessed to be a co-host and somewhat of the point man for today's show. Thank y'all for being here. Y'all, please continue to pass the word. We do In the Huddle every single Wednesday, and we used to do it at night, and we found that it has been a little bit easier for us to get it done in totality earlier in the day. So it tends to come on sometime between 10 and 12. But if you subscribe to the channel, Two Live Stews, Stewart Media and Entertainment, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will be notified every time a program that is on our network is coming on. So that's the best thing for you to do. Please pass the word. Let folks know that we're here. We have a lot of different programming, but every Wednesday, right around this time, between 10 and 12, typically at 11, we will do In the Huddle with Joe Ham. So I wanted to ask you how your summer's going before we get into the sports today. When we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned Skylar, your son, who is going into his senior year, highly recruited athlete, is going on somewhat of a camp tour for the last few weeks. Talk to us about that real quick, Joe, before we get into a few other things when it comes to world of sports.
Yeah, I like the in-depth part about it, what Skylar's going through. We called it a June camp tour, to where Skylar's a little bit behind as far as offers, official offers, that where he can't commit, called committable offers. He has interest in a few different schools, but they want to see more. They want to see him throw in person. They know the film is right there where it needs to be. So I've been very, very blessed to be able to travel to UAB, to a 707, camp at West Georgia, camp at Mercer, mega camps where all the different athletes perform at. And then you get a chance to look at 4- and 5-star athletes, have Skylar, because we are at a private school, a 1A private, to where he's doing exceptional. You hear me? Exceptional academics and excelling in the classroom, on the basketball court, football field, on the track. So he's getting recruited. But when you look at these stars and the intense pressure that recruiting comes with, Stu, I'm going to throw you not a wrench, because you and I talk all the time. This wouldn't be a wrench to you, but I'm glad you brought that up, because just yesterday, a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, was talking about his son and his recruiting process, and it's coming down to the wire. This weekend, they're going to commit. It's 4 powerhouse schools. I'm talking about they got it covered. Big Ten, SEC. They got this recruitment covered.
Well, since you didn't say the name of the player, can you say the name of the schools?
Yes, I can say the name of the schools. It's Vanderbilt, it's Michigan, it's Miami, the Hurricanes, and it's the Tigers.
Ooh, which Tigers? LSU Tigers, Clemson Tigers, Memphis Tigers?
The Death Valley, the real Death Valley. Clemson, South Carolina.
Well, we would say that's the real Death Valley.
Yes. Yeah. I've had that argument.
Right.
A lot of people say LSU down there, but it is that Death
Valley. So, and not to cut you off, please remember what you're going to say. Yeah. This is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. You mentioned those 4 schools. You said Vandy, great school. You said Clemson. You said
Michigan,
and the 4th one was
Miami.
Okay. What are they going to base their decision on, if I can ask?
Well, feel, number one is feel. And I wouldn't say I was knee deep into it, so to speak, to their decisions, but I kind of went through it as a person. I went through it as a player with them, not necessarily as a parent, because I know my role. I don't have a child that's been on official visits, that's having to break down from 20 offers to 4 offers. I was in it as a player, know how I felt there, but I wanted them to feel it as a parent, and they're looking for playing time. I couldn't help them with the NIL and the amount of money divvied out. It was huge on the allotment of $20.5 million that every school is going to get across the board, and whether you are able to have football be the highest paid or basketball be the highest paid, those particular schools outside of Vanderbilt, they are football schools. So the majority of that money is going to go to that football program.
No question.
But they're basing it on education, the distance away from home, and the comfort. And why I bring that up, why it's so important to me, Stu, and why I know I will not catch you off guard, it's the parent in me now. How much of the parents' intuition, how much of the parents' feeling, gut feeling, their thought process going into recruiting about a particular program during the recruiting, because you can have a preconceived idea that this school is that, this coach is this type of coach, he's treated his players this way, I don't like the way he did things in the past. And all of a sudden, you on a few phone calls and a few Zoom calls and a few visits on campus, official and unofficial, you tend to sway and like, hey, man, and I'm getting to know some horses. I mean, I'm getting to hear it from the horse's mouth. I'm getting to hear a little bit things differently. I'm about to see I'm seeing things a little bit differently than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little, not in a pickle, but my homeboy called me and said, hey, man, we don't mess around with this show in the huddle, Stu, so I'm going to say it. He said, how do you feel about Dabo Swinney, man?
Listen, I just wrote, let me tell you what I just wrote down. Dabo, no. That's what I just wrote down.
Okay.
But go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Yeah, well, and he said, how do I feel about Dabo? Because he knows how I feel about Cristobal. That guy needs to win. He's an outstanding recruiter. He's won National Recruiter of the Year plenty times when he was assistant in Alabama, when he was assistant before he got the head coach at Oregon. Shamar Moore, we know what he's doing, a brother, black guy, offensive coordinator of a national championship winning team in Michigan. Now he's promoted to the head coach, so we know what that's all about in a powerhouse Michigan Big Ten program. And then it's Clemson. And I don't feel, and what he was asking me how I feel, because he knows some of the perception about Dabo Swinney. And he knows me pretty well that I'm going to keep it real. I'm not going to let emotions come into how I feel about it. And I told him straight up that Dabo, what I feel about Dabo is what Dabo has said to me out loud. I mean, publicly, that he's not, with the time they start playing players, he'll retire or he'll quit. He doesn't believe in the NIL because
transfer portal.
The transfer portal. I'm sorry, the transfer portal, because my recruiters or my assistant coaches go out there and recruit their butts off. I trust them that they're going to bring in the right talent, that I don't have to go, because if I go into the portal, it's going to undermine my assistant coaches. This is out of his mouth, Stuart. So all those things, we've had some mix up about how he feels about a political party. He brought that in. I'm not guessing here when I'm telling my homeboys some of these things, but I've also said that I don't believe Dabo Swinney has changed, meaning that he's not one way today and one way the other way tomorrow. And I've never heard any former players gripe about him. And I'm talking you to brother as African Americans, Deshaun Watson of the world. You talking C.J. Spillers of the world. I mean, plenty of backs. I mean, Trevor Etienne, the wide receivers, the Higgins, and all those boys, the D lineman, Wilkerson. It could go
litany of players.
A litany of players, and I've never heard them talk bad about Dabo Swinney. So he was in a position to where he was asking me, do my preconceived notion of how I feel about him influence the decision-making of his kid.
Okay.
So I'm honest with him, and he still feels some type of way, and he's trying to be objective for the kid, but it's a tough deal when you know that kid, like you and I did once a long time ago, a short while ago, that he's going to be the guy that's going to hit that alarm clock in the morning. He's going to be the guy, the student athlete, your child, to be able to get up and have to view that city and belong in that city. So it's going to be about them, but they're going to willingly want your input.
I got a couple of follow-ups, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. For the record, everybody that's watching and or listening to today's show, this was not part of today's script for us to get into, but one of the reasons why we both enjoy doing this show so much is because it's truly organic in the direction that we may start and finish. Sometimes it just happens. A couple of questions for you. You've said homeboy a couple of times. That could be homeboy as in where you live now, which is the state of Georgia, or that could be homeboy as in where you grew up, which is the state of South Carolina. Can I ask which state the player is in?
Homeboy as if in the state I'm living in now because of our kids, being together, interacting this whole 20-year journey here. Yes.
What position does the young man play?
Safety.
Okay. All right. Is the kid making the call? At the end of the day, when the decision is made, what percentage of it would you put on the kid? Is his parents allowing him to make the call, or will his call be influenced by his parents and the likes of mentors like yourself?
Yeah, you'll feel this right in the heart. It's a 70-30 kid to the parent, but that 30 is a thorough two-parent household. Getting feedback, writing follow-up letters, thank you letters for the official visits, making sure if they have any questions, they set up Zoom to where when they make this decision, when they help their kid make this decision, he's going to be well informed about everything. They're going to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So, yes, with that 30%, and that's the deal, Stu. How strong is that 30%? How influential is that 30%? They're not making the decision, right, and they're not necessarily elbowing you one way or the other, but their insight and their feeling and their questions they're raising are big-time questions. Big-time questions.
This is In the Huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I'm Ryan Stewart. We appreciate y'all for being here. Remember to continue to pass the word, especially to tech heads that y'all may know.
Yes,
Let me know your boys are here rocking on Wednesdays. Does education play a part in this young man's decision on his behalf, not his parents?
Yes, absolutely. And then what's going on is that they want to make sure they hone in, which everybody wants to go to the NFL, Stu. Everybody. So some people might not get that degree in the first 3 years of you leave as a junior, or maybe even in the first 4 years if you don't get redshirted, right? But they are motivated to have that coach or have that program say, we want you to finish your education. Don't forget about us, right? If we're going to make money or we're going to do some things, how will you accept us back if we have to come back? How much momentum will you give me, encouragement will you give me while I'm there to finish my degree? How's the punishment looking in study hall when my kid's slipping a little bit on not just what you could do on Saturdays, but in that classroom as well? What's the balance here? Because you don't want to drop off. And I think that's what's going on in the recruiting and what I'm going to watch closely as well. You don't want to drop off school. Stu, I would rather look at a school that is a B+.
When you say drop off school, Joe, for those who don't understand, tell them what that means.
What I mean by that, if a school is an A+ in athletics, they win in national championships left and right, and they are a powerhouse, and they are a feeder to the NFL. That's A+. And then all of a sudden, when you look at graduation rate and you're looking at academics, it goes down to a C-. That's a drop-off.
Okay.
Huge drop-off. As opposed to when you have and all those things you go into a school and education and athletics and community and resources and all those things, can it be a B+ amongst the board? Or maybe you have an A- to a B+, or a B+ to an A+, but no C's in there at all. Yeah. So all those things got to go in when you touch and you touch them and you talk to other players. I think that's huge. And what I told them, Stu, is that you guys being on 4 official visits, y'all have got into contact with other parents, and your child, they've got the Instagram and the DMs and the phone numbers of the other student athletes. Talk to those kids. Talk to those kids that's on campus now. Talk to those parents that have kids on campus now. and talk to those other kids that's getting recruited now and say, hey, is he shooting us real? What is the lie? What is the untruth? What is faking the funk on a real nasty dunk?
Yeah. Faking that funk on a real nasty dunk. A couple more questions before we get into today's script for In the Huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I asked you percentage-wise who's going to make the call, him or his parents. You said 70-30, him. How was that done for you in your household when you were getting recruited nationally? I remember Nebraska was big on your board.
Yes.
I remember Penn State was big on your board. Tech was big on your board. You had several big dogs that wanted you to come and play for the institution. How was that done in your home? Did you make that decision? Did your parents make that decision? Or what was the split with that percentage?
Man, boy, Stu, this is not the untruth, and this is not to get laughs or try to make something up that wasn't there. Man, I would really genuinely say 51-49 me.
Wow.
Because I felt that it was never talked about, but that's how I felt in the situation, that they were going to be cool with wherever I decided, but the information and the input and the pros and cons and, everything from the depth chart to, you remember when this guy, didn't call you back, when you remember when we want to visit and this was a little bit off place, and, the timely manner of things and the intuition of my mom when you looked him in the eye when in the living room, all that went into a total decision of, I think this was the opportunity. Because Stu, I held back, man. You did a great job of recruiting me and just telling the positive. And I've never told you this, but kudos to you for keeping it real, and Harvey Middleton, so to speak, as well. But kudos to you, more importantly, for keeping it real, because you went from ups and downs at Georgia Tech. And you said some things negatively about it, and you said some things positively, but you sold the whole total person program, what it's going to mean for somebody from South Carolina, the low country, to come and get a degree from there. So that was huge. That was huge. And mom and dad, the whole way through, was like, make that decision. You're informed, and we're going to ride. So it wasn't one of those things that I can't tell my mom. If I tell my dad this, he's going to be upset, or my mom this, she's going to be upset. No, I was genuine. Everybody in it for the one reason only: happiness.
Man, I appreciate everything you just said. I do remember your visit, and I remember the coaches. My position coach, Danny Smith at the time, who was the recruiter for Georgia Tech in the great state of South Carolina. I remember him coming to me. I remember the offensive coordinator coming to me. I remember the head coach coming to me. And I remember them saying, Hamilton's going to be here this weekend. And, he's from your hometown, right outside your hometown. I want to make sure you spend some time with him. I think a couple of extra dollars was given to me to take you out, and make sure you had a good time. But, and I would tell the coaches when they came to me, hey, look, I'm going to shoot them straight and tell them the truth. So if y'all are ready for that and prepared for that, then bring them my way. But if you don't want him to hear the truth from my perspective, then y'all better keep him away from me. That's my homeboy, and I want what's best for him. So I'm going to shoot him straight. That being said, I want to take you back to my process before we get into today's topics. It was 100% me. My mom and dad told me multiple times that they trusted my ability to make the best decision for my future. Each of them had a location in mind for me that they thought would be best.
Right.
And they told me they wouldn't share that location with me or their thoughts with me until after National Signing Day.
Wow.
So they really, literally entrusted me to make the decision. We talked about it a lot. The phone was ringing off the hook. I went from 30 schools to 20 schools to 15 schools to 10 to let's make these final 5 schools for the recruiting trips that we're going to take. And then out of these recruiting trips, the decision is going to be mine. I asked each of them separately to please let me know what they were thinking about where they wanted me to go. And mum was the word. They didn't give me any hints. They didn't give me any notion of what they wanted me to do. After choosing Georgia Tech and telling them both that I was going to commit to Georgia Tech, after canceling 2 recruiting visits that were set up because the visit to Tech was so awesome, they didn't say, no, you should take those visits. They say, hey, if that's what you want to do, you go ahead and do it. But after signing, my dad was like, man, I thought Clemson was the place for you.
Ooh.
Part of that reason was because we visited Clemson more than any other school because the drive wasn't that bad. And every time we went to Clemson, let's just say that the handshakes were blessings every time we were on campus, if you know what I mean. Okay. And my mom said, I felt in my heart and I knew that Georgia Tech would be perfect for you. So I got it right with Mom, and Dad was like, man, I want you to go to Clemson. And maybe that was more personal than anything else.
Yeah.
But that's how that went down for me. Last question, Joe. Last question before I make a comment, and this is in the huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I got a great message that I'm going to read from Jungle Brother in the chat before we finish this topic. Does said player have NIL opportunities that's already been presented to him, yes or no?
You mean from those particular schools?
Yes.
Oh, that's locked in. That's another thing I found out, Stu. You don't have to negotiate. You don't have to beg. You don't have to present that on the table.
It's part of it now.
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, it's slotted in. It's slotted into your position. It's slotted into your production. It's slotted in. That's guaranteed. It's just, whether they're going to play by the rules, whether they have a cap on it, or they don't have a cap on it. Right. Whether they have extra boosters, can give a little bit more to the kitty, or they can just have to go by, what the standard rate is. But they're going to get paid, yes.
I want to share this message with you. This is In the Huddle with your boy Joe Ham. I'm your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. Don't forget that the Two Live Stews will do a show every single Monday and Thursday, tomorrow being Thursday at 7 o'clock right here on YouTube, Stewart Media and Entertainment, as well as on Facebook and Instagram and other social media platforms. So make sure you pass the word. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you join us tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for your Two Live Stews experience. Here's the message I want to talk to you about from Jungle Brother. Jungle Brother says, I've never met Dabo or talked to someone who's been around him, but I find it hard to believe not one player doesn't have a problem with him. Ask Kelly Bryant, who was benched for Sunshine Trevor Lawrence.
Man, I love Jungle Brother.
It's deeper. Thank you, Jungle Brother, for sharing that. It's deeper than the players that have been under Dabo's tutelage. For me, Joe, I can't speak for you, and you know the road that I'm about to go down. For me, Joe, I find it hard to tell a kid that I'm mentoring or that I care about to even consider the Clemson Tigers.
Man.
Dabo, and you know where we're from, Joe.
Yes, absolutely.
Had Danny Ford still been the coach at Clemson, there's no question I would have gone to the Clemson Tigers. Danny Ford was the first coach to recruit me out of Clemson. He was the first coach that spent time and called me. I was a freshman when he started contacting me. Okay? He would come by the school from time to time, not to recruit, but if he was in the area recruiting in Walterboro, in Somerville, at Stratford, in Charleston, if he was in the area, he would always stop by the school just for 5 minutes or so because he really liked me. And because of that relationship, I really liked him. So I would have gone to Clemson had he still been there, but he wasn't, so I didn't. Dabo Swinney has shown his hand. I don't think he's a fan of people that looks like us. I think we're a commodity to him that's very important for him to have success at the level that he's had. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that he ain't got no love for us. I know for a fact that he's a Trump supporter. I know for
you shouldn't let that get involved.
Well, that has to be a part of it.
Okay.
And the reason why that has to be a part of it these days in 2025 is because look how the world is being ran under his tutelage. Look at what's happening. Look at the devastation that's going on in the great state of Texas right now. And I don't think I've seen his boots on the ground in Texas yet. But what I have seen 3 or 4 times a week since this devastation is taking place in Texas is him playing golf.
Hey, I would say this, too. I would say this. you have to be careful when you do what you're doing now, in which I'm totally behind what you're saying, because only when I'm saying that the Trump supporter and the people in Texas, and the reason why I bring this up is because you got to paint everybody with the same brush. No. Have you seen any other ACC or SEC head coaches doing anything at Texas? Right. Have you seen? Are you going to ask anybody, any other head coach?
I wasn't tying
from Georgia or
no, sir.
Whatever they are.
I wasn't tying Dabo to the Texas devastation. I was tying Dabo to Trump. I was tying Trump to the Texas devastation because that's part of his job as president of the United States.
And not to get too much hung up on that, because I'm totally with you and I totally agree with you. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to judging Dabo like that, are you a prospective student athlete or a parent? Is that question, or is that coming up with the head coach of UGA?
I'm not rocking with nobody that has openly shown me that they're down with that devil. I'm not rocking with nobody that has shown me their cards when it comes to their political affiliation to that guy.
That is hardcore, and I respect it. I'm respecting.
We learned a long time ago to keep politics and religion out of our work when it comes to TV and radio and being on platforms such as this. But I'd be a damn fool to ignore what that guy that's running the country is doing and saying, and how he's trying to erase our history, and how he don't like us, and how he's shipping people and deporting people, how he's taking people without due process and sending them other places. I'd be a fool to not say I'm not down with that.
That's real. That's real.
It's eventually going to get to a point with people that look like you and I are going to start having to deal with ICE scooping us up and sending us someplace, even though we're citizens of this country. You know why? Because we look like we do and we don't look like them. So if you've openly shown me in the position that you're in as a head coach in college that this is how you feel and you want to align your ducks with that guy, my kid or my mentees will be advised by me not to even think about going to your program because you are not for us.
Man, that's well said. And I cannot come back with any rhetoric as far as I don't feel what you're saying and I don't believe what you're saying. All I have to do is I've had interactions with the guy, but on a coach's level, on a player's level like that.
Right.
So and I'm going to take it for surface, but he has everything you've said is factual. He said, so I can't rebut that. But there's something to Stu now.
Okay.
There is something to, and whether we are commodities or whether we are given scholarships for what we can do for that Clemson programs, I'm talking to African Americans, there is something that I don't see many disgruntled. And Jungle Brother talked about Kelly Bryant. Yeah. Kelly Bryant was a decision made that you have to say kudos to that coaching staff for making that decision. 4 games in.
Doug and I have debated this for years. He can't stand it. He says that the kid got the rug pulled from underneath his feet. And I said, Sunshine came in and did a better job. You got to be almost a fool to keep Sunshine on the bench when he can do what he can do with the immeasurables that he's got when Bryant is on the field. I feel bad for Bryant. I feel terrible for Bryant. But after the fact, and the decision was made, you can't say that Dabo did the wrong thing when it comes to putting him out there.
Totally agree with that assessment. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Sir, I want to say this before we move on. We have 2 more quick comments. I know Trump supporters that I have no problem with.
Oh.
I know Trump supporters that I have no problem with, whether they look like this or like this.
Yep.
Okay, because there's different reasons why people follow and or support political figures. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know folks that look like this and like this that do not like the fact that he may not like folks that look like this, or he's been discouraging towards folks that look like this, or he's trying to erase our history, or he shut down FEMA, or all this stuff. Okay. They know that, but they're aligned with him because of the almighty dollar. Yeah. They're aligned with him because of taxes. They're aligned with him because of the borders. There's several reasons why they may like him, despite the reason why I loathe him. That being said, if your hand has been played, and I know you're less than, your heart isn't pure for love for all and equality, I have a problem with you. That's why when you mention a name like Moore at Michigan, it's not a hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
Cristobal in Miami, it's not a hard decision. These guys are guys that have had a plight similar to ours growing up.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are the minority that will understand a tad bit more than Dabo or some other guys where we come from and how we live and how we view life and how we're, in all actuality, how we're the hunted walking around in this country these days.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Dabo on this side and Moore on this side, both two prestigious programs that have won championships in the last decade, man, we gotta buy black.
No.
A good friend of mine and I debated for quite some time why and how athletes like you and I need to decide to pool our resources and go to different HBCUs to bring the spotlight, the camera, the networks, and the money to the HBCUs that are here for us and to support us. And I told him for years, hey, man, the reason why I disagree with that is because as much as my brother Doug wanted me to go to South Carolina State, which was his college institution, and they were right up the road from us, and me being a top 3 player in the state of South Carolina and a top 5 player in the country, what that could do for South Carolina State as well as myself, they didn't have the facilities that the other schools that were recruiting me had. They weren't traveling to games on planes like I would be doing at these other schools that are
chartered planes.
Chartered planes, which means that I'm going to a game and getting back from a game in time like that, not being forced to ride on a bus, being uncomfortable, and letting all kind of stuff my body have to deal with because of those several reasons why I said, nah. I'm not mad at a kid that wants to go to one of these major D1s. But, man, that was when I was 30, 35, 38 years old. But now at the ripe age of almost 52, I'm going to beg you to tell your mentee and your friend's son to think about buying black.
Right.
And not going to an HBCU necessarily, but at the end of the day, definitely going to a school that supports his needs and interests, but going to a school that is led by a black man or a black athletic director, led by a black head coach, has black offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators or special teams coordinators, has a minority that has a position or a part in the position to make decisions for that said university. That's the only way they're going to value our worth if we show value to those that look like us.
Man, that's well put. That's well put, Stu. And I would say to you, as far as encourage and almost entice.
Please remember what you're going to say.
Go ahead.
One last thing. And if your mentee or your friend's son decides to go to Clemson, I'll tell him congratulations and I wish him the best. I'm not going to hate him for making that decision that's best for him because these are just my feelings and my thoughts about my aspect and my view of that situation. Okay, Joe, please go ahead.
And I think my homeboy, my friend, I think he's probably going to have that conversation with his son, like you just said, like you just had. I'm going to support you. I'm going to love you, according to how he feels in his interaction. But I would say when you say buy black, and I do agree, Stu, but I agree with that when it's all equal. And I don't mean equal playing field and equal economics. I mean with all the things that you're looking for in your recruitment, like you asked earlier about the location and the academics and the graduation rate, the playing time, and who you're going to get to the NFL, the facilities, all those type of things, the alumni base, all those things, Fortune 500 companies. If that's equal, of all those things are equal, yes, buy black. I would encourage you to go this way because it's equal. But if it's not equal, I wouldn't be in the boat of, taking the back seat on one of those criteria or one of those things you had as a top 5, top 4 requirement of going to school, I wouldn't let that override that. While I agree with you wholeheartedly, I just wouldn't let it override that if one of my criteria were missing.
And in 2025, in the huddle with your boy Joe Ham, this is your boy One Live Student Ryan Stewart. And in 2025, if Michigan is offering that young man $100,000 and Clemson is offering that young man $250,000, I understand that move too.
Yeah,
because the NIL opportunities that these kids had that we didn't have has to be an important part of the equation when it comes to putting together the numbers and how you want to make your decision. When it comes to pluses and minuses or the scale being tipped one way or the other, if somebody's offering him $500,000 and the closest to that is $150,000, if you're going to, I'm not going to say go play for a straight out racist for that $500,000, but I'm going to say you've got to put a lot of thought into making the right decision financially for yourself, your future, and for your family.
No question about it. No question.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sir, my kids go to a private school where their mother was a principal, and it's 12% minority at the school. That's not 12% black. That's 12% minorities, totally.
Woo!
So because of this experience that we're having these last few years that we've been here, I want my kids to go to an HBCU now more than ever because I want them to see the other side. Because right now, they're seeing one side of things.
Wow,
And even though my wife is a principal and an administrator at the school, and we love the people at that school, deep down in my heart, I know there's situations and things that happen from time to time with the 12% of the students there that look like us, where they're going to be looked at, spoken to, and viewed differently than the other kids.
Facts.
So that's why I want my kids, and I'm not talking about anybody else's kids. That's why I'm really in favor of my kids saying when they graduate, prayerfully they'll be given an opportunity to get some kind of scholarship or some type of funds to attend an HBCU. But I would love for them to go to see the other side before they get out in life, because right now, the side that they're seeing, the scale is tipped like that. And it's tough, man. I mean, it's deeper now than it's ever been when it comes to the decisions that these kids have to make. And man, if we're not going to put 10 toes down and stand for us and our people and our ancestors and those that look like us and what they had to deal with, then man, what the hell are we doing?
We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. And we have to stop saying, Stu, we have to stop saying that well, I won't see it. It doesn't affect me.
Right.
What about paying it forward? What about teaching our kids and having our kids teach the people beside them, their peers, and then they teach that other generation? We have to stop living in a prism that we're not getting affected, so we don't need to act. No, we can act and we can start to change, and it'll develop the way it needs to develop. You spot on, my brother. You're preaching.
Okay. It's your boy, One Live Student Ryan Stewart, joined by none other than the great Joe Ham. And we got some other things we need to get into right here today, man. Joe, it's 11:40.
I love it. I love it.
We hadn't even gotten into the show yet. In the world of the NFL.
Yes, sir.
You and I both have been talking about a list that has come out with the top 4 NFL quarterbacks. And in no particular order, the list that you and I both have been talking about that we've agreed upon is Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Josh Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. In no particular order, that's the top 4.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, yep.
You and I agree with that, as I've mentioned already.
Yeah.
But you and I have not discussed to this point who the 5th quarterback would be if we had to choose who number 5 is.
Yeah.
In that top NFL quarterback in the National Football League. I've been dying for this, Joe. I've been waiting for this all week. Please share your thoughts about who number 5 would be on that list.
I pride myself on being a quarterback, former quarterback, and knowing a lot about the position. But I also pride myself on, Stu, that I'm not being a bully about my stance, bully about my observance of these quarterbacks, what I feel about how they can do, how I feel they can perform. I'm not saying it's my way or the highway. You don't know what you're talking about because you didn't play the position. I don't take that stance. And I'm and to reiterate or give the listeners a little inside view of whose list this is. This is Randy Moss's list.
Right.
Randy Moss came out and said this, and I love the way he did it because he didn't have us spend too much time on the first four. He didn't have us spend too much time on how we're going to rank the first four. He was like, don't worry about that.
It's kind of like we don't even need to talk about that.
Right. We don't even need to talk about that. Who are you going to stick in on that five, on that fifth spot? And Stu, you're going to be a little disappointed in me because this is what I'm going to go and say to you.
Real quick, I'm not going to be disappointed.
Okay.
Because Joe, I respect it more than you realize because whenever I have a thought about a quarterback or a take about a quarterback, I pick up the phone and call you before I call anybody else because you are a quarterback and you are a damn good quarterback. So I'm not going to blow off what you say or disagree. If anything, you're going to sway my decision and my thoughts more towards your side. But please go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to try to fix somebody in there, and I'm not. Stu, I'm going to say we have four great quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's the first tier, and I am going to stop right there. I've tried too hard. I've tried too hard with Dak Prescott. I've tried too hard with Jalen Hurts. I've tried too hard with Stafford. I've tried too hard with Daniels. Is that 1 year enough? I see the upside. I see the potential. I probably will pick him number one right now. We're talking about Jaden Daniels from Washington because what I saw as a rookie running it, IQ, passing it, one game away from the Super Bowl. C.J. Stroud, what he did his rookie year, and he fell off a little bit in his sophomore year. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with myself, and I'm grueling and I'm grinding, and I'm finding numbers. I'm looking at wins. I'm looking at skill set. I'm looking at potential. Still, I'm looking at so many different things to try to find that fifth. Because to get to four, I didn't have these problems. All right? I didn't have these problems to get to four. And all of a sudden, I ran up into a stalemate trying to fit what's my next criteria. Because I would have to take somebody out of my top four if I only put Jalen Hurts in because he's a Super Bowl winner and a two-time Super Bowl. Having two Super Bowl appearances. Three quarterbacks would have to come under my top four because they don't have Super Bowl rings. So where do I put that? Where do I put the Super Bowl ring thing at?
This is not a ring conversation because to have that for all the guys that have that ring. That's a team metric. That is not something that is done individually. Yes, the quarterback that touches the ball every offensive snaps more times than not is a huge reason why that team may have a ring. But no, if these guys don't have a ring, you can still put them in your top four, your top five.
Yeah, and you look at Mahomes, you look at Patrick Mahomes, and somewhat some way you look at Michael Jordan. The reason why Joe Burrow, the reason why Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen doesn't have a ring, some could say is just because of Patrick Mahomes. Now I know Joe Burrow didn't play Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He beat them in an NFC Championship game, but it's the same thing. You have to go through Kansas City. So the next fold of it, I do not think you have any quarrels with the top four. But I think we can debate. I think we can sit there and debate on Jalen Hurts being number 5 in that list. And I cannot put him in that list, Stu. I will not put him in that list. And when you go to second tier, that's when I would hit you with the Jalen Hurts and a Matthew Stafford and a Herbert.
I see what's going on here.
And a Love.
I see what's going on here. Let me help you. I see what's going on here. There is 4 or 5 different tiers, maybe even 6 different tiers of quarterbacks. I don't know if you want to put 1 at the top in tier 1 and then 2 and 3 in tier 2.
Right.
But let's just say the top tier, the first tier at the pinnacle is the 4 that we've listed.
Yes.
My question to you now, since I have to rephrase it to get a direct answer from you is, who's starting tier number 2?
Jalen Hurts. He was on the tip of trying to get him in fifth. All right. So, but now when you say who's on the top of tier 2, now I have I have a plethora of things I can say to you now. I can say potential. I can put Jaden Daniels right there. I could not put Jaden Daniels 5. You see, I could not put Jaden Daniels with those other 4 because of the body work. Now, he could ascend. We can sit here next year, Stu, at this same particular time.
And be blown away.
And he's 5, or he's 3, or he's whatever. But right now, I just couldn't put him in there with that group. But he is knocking. He is really, really knocking. Matter of fact, some people, Stu, would say the playground test, what they want in their quarterback, and what that rookie put on display last year, some people would pick Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts.
No question.
So I mean, and I'm not disagreeing with them because again, Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to diminish what he did this season because I don't do with other quarterbacks. Joe Montana, who had a lot of skill positions, players around him. Kurt Warner with the greatest show on turf. He had a lot of skill position players around him. So I don't want to do Jalen Hurts like he's a product of that offensive line and a product of Saquon Barkley and a product of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I don't want to do him like that. But he has a good team around him. So, yeah, but that's where in that second tier, I don't have to stuff that either. Stu, that's what I came when doing this list the last week and really honing in on it.
That's why I originally said 4 tiers and then said it could be as much as 6 to 7 tiers.
Yeah, because we can't automatically try to fit Tua and Justin Herbert in tier 2.
There you go.
No. If they're not quite up there with Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels and Matthew Stafford,
okay,
we put them on another tier, brother.
I'm gonna dig deeper, Joe. Joe, you said Hurts would be the first quarterback in tier 2.
Yes.
How many quarterbacks do you have in tier 2? And give me all of them.
Yes,
I'm digging deep, man. What you're saying is making sense. And for the record, I do disagree with you about Jalen Hurts being the number 1 on tier 2, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
the other quarterbacks you have in tier 2.
I have Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott. and knocking. Say
that again. Say those names one more time, please.
Yes, I have obviously Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and C.J. Stroud.
You got Baker in tier 2?
Oh yeah.
You got Dak Prescott in tier 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay, in essence, sir, and this is In the Huddle with Joe Ham. I'm your boy Ryan Stewart. Thank y'all for being here. Please continue to pass the word. If you've got the 4 in tier 1 and those 6 you just named, you telling me 10 of the top 10 players out of 32 make up 2 tiers of the quarterbacks in the NFL?
Oh yeah, because
and you got Dak Prescott in there?
Oh, absolutely. Because again, why would you have Dak in there? Because again, the tier 2 is
Dak
pretty good.
The big game every time it's mattered, and play bad in the big game every time it's mattered.
Tier 2 is pretty good quarterbacks. Tier 2 is pretty good quarterbacks.
But if tier 2 is below tier 1, there shouldn't be no pretty good quarterbacks in there. There need to be good quarterbacks in there.
Well, I think Dak Prescott is still a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League.
Oh, gosh.
I still think he's a top 10 quarterback. So it goes to top 4. So, but if you're in the top 10, in my opinion, Stu, then you second tier. You first or second tier. I'm not going to go.
So you've only got 4 tiers.
No. But I cannot put a third tier quarterback in my top 10. That's all. I cannot put a third tier quarterback in my top 10. So now when I rounded up my top 10 with Mayfield, Stafford.
I gave you all the props about me calling you and consulting with you for all my quarterback conversations and thoughts.
Who you put in?
Dak Prescott in your top tier. In the second tier, you finishing up with Dak?
Yeah, I'm finishing up with Dak. Yeah. I wouldn't put Justin Herbert in front of him.
Who's your favorite team, Joe? Who's your favorite NFL team? I hate to do this to you, man. Look at me.
Yeah.
I God damn it, I hate to do
Dallas,
this to you.
Dallas Cowboys.
Who's your favorite team in the NFL,
The
Joe?
Dallas Cowboys.
For how long?
Oh goodness, 48 years.
Okay. Dogs and poodles that's watching and listening to this show, there it is.
You
His
got to tell me something
favorite
different.
team. He is a Dallas Cowboy fan, and he's allowing his fandom to bleed into his sports talk on this podcast on a show that's named after him.
Well, Stu. I mean, we always have to go with the pudding now. The proof that's in the pudding. Jared Goff over Dak.
Yes.
Because these are people that did not get in the top 10.
Yes.
Jared Goff
over Dak.
Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Okay. Jordan Love.
I could easily put Jordan Love over Dak.
Well, you have to.
I would like to see another season or another year for body of work for Jordan Love. But yes, I would put him over Dak.
Justin Herbert.
No.
Okay.
Dak is better than Herbert.
Tua Tagovailoa.
No.
Okay. Brock Purdy.
No.
All right, so hear me out, Stu. The only reason I'm saying that he is in that second tier because that's my top 10 with Dak rounded up at number 10. And I'm not going to have 3 tiers of quarterbacks just to fill out a top 10. Okay. Now, if you want to move Dak out for Jared Goff, I'm with you. Okay. If you want to move, I'm fine with that. But that is about it. That's all you cannot fit Dak Prescott in your top 10. Who else you putting in there? That's all I would ask.
Jalen Hurts is in there.
I have him.
Jaden Daniels is in there.
I have him.
Jared Goff is in there unquestionably.
Okay.
And Matthew Stafford is in there.
And I got Matthew.
That's tier 2 for me. That's it. That's it. And someone that's got a foot in tier 2 and a foot in tier 3 is Jordan Love.
Okay.
But then you have to filter down. And sir, a guy like Dak that has had all the opportunities he's had, winning 12 to 13 games a year for the last 3 years is significant. But to give up the ghost in the postseason every time your team has a chance to succeed or get to a conference finals or even a Super Bowl, shame on you.
No.
To get beat the way the Detroit Lions beat you at home, shame on you. Oh, yeah. Dak loses and gives up the ghost at home when everything is in his favor, when he slept in his bed all week long at home.
No, yeah,
he can't be in the top 10 players in the National Football League when there's only 32 of them. No way.
Well, you just named one of them. You just named just one that you would put ahead of him. Just all you named was Goff. Now you had different tiers, but you still had Dak number 11.
Yeah, no, Dak was number 9 on my list because I had 4 for the first and 4 for the second in tier 1 and tier 2.
Well, he's still top 10 though.
Well, no. I didn't give you my list. I gave you 1 through 8 for top tier 2 and 3. I'm sorry, for tier 1 and 2. Okay. And I said that Jordan Love's foot was in tier 2 and another foot was in tier 3. I didn't give you an order the rest of my list. So that's just 9 players.
I stand corrected.
And Dak is not my top. No way. Listen.
Did you say C.J. Stroud?
I would put C.J. Stroud ahead of Dak Prescott in a heartbeat.
But you didn't name him in the second tier, though, right?
No, I did not name him in the second tier.
That's
he gave up the ghost last year. His sophomore year, he truly had a sophomore slump, which is why I want to go to the Jaden Daniel, who was at 4 or 5 in my list.
Yeah.
Behind Jalen Hurts. I've got to see his second season to see what he does and if he grows as a quarterback in year 2. Because if he grows, he's going to be in tier 1.
Yes.
He is phenomenal. And there's a part of me because of what Jalen Hurts has to work with offensively and defensively. And seeing Jalen Hurts go into a slump a couple of years with his play, I think if the team that Jalen Hurts has around him wasn't around him, that he would struggle. But I don't want to put struggles on him because he's found a way to win. Yep. I don't want to put struggles on him. But I think if you put Jaden Daniels in the offense that Jalen Hurts is running, that he'd be mind-blowingly good.
Yeah. Or even the same player. He's great right now. Yes, absolutely. I got what you're coming from, and I agree, Stu. And I agree so much that I'm going to add on to that Jaden Daniels talk, what you said a little bit. And the reason why I have one more year to have to see is because of what happened to C.J. Stroud.
Right.
Okay,
right.
That's the only. If C.J. Stroud had came, and let's remember now, C.J. Stroud was not trash. C.J. Stroud still led his team to the playoffs.
Yes.
Okay, they still let it.
It was a significantly lesser performance than his previous year.
And I think because that previous year was just a wow. He did some things no rookie quarterback had ever done before. Right. And now we've seen
Jaden Daniels did last year.
There you go.
The records and numbers that CJ put up his rookie year was superseded by what Jaden Daniels did in his first year.
Absolutely. So I got a little hesitancy, and right there. And because of that, Stu, if he puts up that next year, if he puts up the same thing, Jaden Daniels, as he did this year, he's going to jump Jalen Hurts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's going to jump right over him.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You put Baker Mayfield in your list. How did you do that?
Because, again,
we're thinking about the first 2 to 4 years that Baker had. Baker recently figuring it out, but the first 2 to 4 years says that he was a bust almost.
Man, you're making my point, Stu. Thank you for saying what you just said. I could almost be quiet. Thank you. In the first number 1 overall pick, 2 to 4 years in Cleveland, haphazard. I mean, he was below average, subpar. We was writing him off, almost saying that's a bust.
Bad quarterback.
But I have to transform. If I see somebody transforming, I have to transform. Baker Mayfield, in the last 2 years, division champs with Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And don't you know, Baker Mayfield, the last 2 years, I'm missing the name of the head coach at Jacksonville that said Duval. Is it Cohen?
Yes.
Cohen. Where did he come from? He came from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay.
Offensive coordinator. All right. Do you remember the head coach? I do, of the Carolina Panthers. His name is Canales. Dave Canales.
Yeah, so Liam Cohen is the coach you were referring to. Yes.
Yes, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, offensive coordinator.
Okay.
The year previous to that, his offensive coordinator, he lost that guy too. Where did he go? He went to Carolina. As the head coach. So in 2 years, Baker Mayfield had got 2 head coaches, brand new jobs, because of what he did in that at leading the helm and being a quarterback. He is playing at a high level of football in the last 2 years. That's why I got him there, Steve.
So
you would have Jared Goff playing very, very good.
Jared Goff is a Super Bowl participating quarterback that
but he was
that has resurrected the Detroit Lions. Yeah, what he has done in the last 2 or 3 years, and the quarterback that he's always been. Not like Baker, where he had 3 or 4 years that was off. The quarterback that Goff has always been is the top-tier quarterback in this league.
I don't know, man. Sean McVay wanted to part ways. Sean McVay wanted to part ways with him.
Well, that's fine. And clearly Sean McVay was fine for doing that because the guy he brought in took him to the mountaintop and won a Super Bowl in Matthew Stafford, which is why he was in my second tier. Okay? Jared Goff is a winner. That's all he's ever done is won. Joe, that's an hour, Joe.
Oh, man, I'm really saying oh, man to that right now, though. That was beautiful. That was well done, sir. That was well done.
I feel bad about ishing on Jalen Hurts because not only is he a frat brother.
Yeah.
Not only is he a frat brother, but he's won at every level they've entrusted him with the football. High school, college, and in the NFL. What he does is hard to be doubted, but man, I mean.
And how many coordinators? And how many coordinators too?
Right.
We don't give him enough credit for that.
Right.
He went through a lot of different coordinators, brother. He started off with Peterson. And then your boy Sirianni. Then your boy Steichen.
Even before getting into the dance, he did it with Alabama. Then left Alabama, forced to leave Alabama, and he went and did it in Oklahoma. I mean, he's just a winner.
A winner. And unselfish.
Kid of a coach also. Fly Tie says teams and organizations matter with player development. 100% agree with that. Shedrick Jones. Shouts out to you, Shed.
Nah.
Appreciate you, man. What happens to the Vikings quarterback that stunk it up in playoffs last year?
We'll never hear from him in Seattle again.
Not Stafford.
No, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I think Darnold would be a good placeholder at the position, but when it comes to being a starter that he was last year, his productivity is going to drop significantly.
No doubt.
Golf just needed a good system and is decent. Well, yeah, everybody needs a good system.
Well, he had a good system. Now he was under McVay.
Burrow ain't trash. Where you putting him at? Burrow's in the top tier. We both said that. You just missed that part, Methuselah. What a fly tie. Goff will be just an average quarterback without Ben Johnson being the offensive coordinator. Great question for you. Appreciate you, DJ Chuck. What do you see the Lions doing this year as we get ready to leave today's show? Losing both of their coordinators offensively and Aaron Glenn, and offensively and Ben Johnson, and defensively and Aaron Glenn.
Same thing. Win the division. You got your head coach. He's played ball. He's been in the NFL, played in the National Football League. That offense, they hide within. They know how to utilize talent. Talent, my brother. Talent. Where did the talent go? Nowhere.
Hey, y'all pass the word about every Wednesday. Your boy, One Last Stu, Ryan Stewart, and my man, my right-hand man from the crib, Joe Ham. We appreciate you, Joe Ham. Outstanding job today, sir.
Man, that was fast, man. That was a breeze. Beautiful, brother.
We didn't touch the rundown. We did one thing off the rundown, which is the quarterbacks. and I couldn't be more disappointed in you putting Dak into your top 10. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back to calling Donnie Davis with my quarterback question. I'm not calling you no more. I'm going to call Donnie Davis. I'm going to call Sean King. But I'm not going to call you no more. If you putting Dak Prescott and his terrible ass in your top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League, with what he's done, it almost hurt my heart. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all, man. Thank y'all for being here. See y'all tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for the next edition of the Two Live Stews Experience. Tree Taylor, thank you for setting up the room. And Joe, you getting the A+, man. Outstanding job today. I look forward to next week, man. Other than that Dak thing. That Dak thing, you cut me to that Dak thing, man.
Hey, you cut you to the white meat.
Your fandom. It's all because of your fandom.
No. It's because I'm seeing it real, man. I am looking at the playoffs, but come on, man. Dak Prescott? Come on, man. Third tier? Come on, man.
I don't know if Dak is in my third tier. Yeah. He's had too much opportunity and too many pieces to win, and he loses the big one yearly.
He does.
Yearly.
He does.
There's been a couple of times where I just knew they had a win in this particular game, and I don't put big money on my bets with my bookie. I call my bookie like, yeah, give me 4 times what I typically do on the Cowboys, Stu. Are you crazy? On the Cowboys. And I lose every time. Never again.
It sounds like you got a little axe to grind, man.
God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love. That's all he's showing you. Nothing but love. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Two Live Stews Experience with your boy, One Live Stew, Ryan Stewart, and my brother, Doug Stewart. Tree will be producing the show from out of the country. Looking forward to that. Ollie's had a pretty good weekend as well, so we're looking forward to seeing her on Thursday. Peace and blessings, y'all. Thank y'all for being here.